If you don't set these 5 boundaries early, you'll end up taken for granted and eventually walked all over, ignored, used, disrespected, emotionally drained, and then blamed for it. You know what it feels like. You give your time, your energy, your loyalty, and still feel like you're not enough. You stay, hoping things change, but the more you give without limits, the more you lose yourself. Comment unshakable boundaries if you're ready to become unshakable. Number 1, protect your peace. You must reclaim your peace like it's your last breath of freedom, because every time you allow someone else to disrupt your day, distort your priorities, or take your energy without giving anything of value in return, you are handing over your life in small, invisible payments, and those small cuts build over time until you're exhausted, bitter, and unsure of who you are anymore. And yet, this is how most people live, controlled not by force but by their own inability to say no, to walk away, to choose solitude over temporary connection. And it always starts small. A message you didn't want to reply to but did anyway, a call you didn't feel like taking, a plan you agreed to that killed your whole day. And every time you bend your peace to fit someone else's comfort, you lose a little more of yourself. And what makes it worse is that you know it's happening while it's happening. You feel it in your chest, in your mind, in your sleep. But you keep doing it because the fear of losing someone feels scarier than losing your own clarity, your own growth, your own stillness. But the truth is, the moment you value your peace above their approval, their attention, their reaction, you begin to feel your power come back. And it's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet and disciplined. And the way you protect your peace is by becoming non-negotiable with your time, brutally honest with your priorities, and unapologetic about your distance from drama. And that might mean losing people who only liked you when you were convenient, silent, available. But let them go, because anyone who punishes you for protecting your peace is someone who profits from your chaos. And peace doesn't mean isolating from everyone. It means only letting in those who know how to be gentle with your space, consistent with their presence, and respectful of your energy. And this isn't theory, this is life. You feel it when you walk into a room with someone who brings tension, and you feel the difference when you spend time with someone who leaves you lighter, calmer, and more focused after they leave. And you have to stop pretending not to notice the difference, because your body knows who drains you and who grounds you. So stop lying to yourself. Stop entertaining people just because they're familiar. Start protecting your peace, like it's the one thing you'll never get back if you lose it. And you do that by getting serious about your time. Stop giving out access like it's unlimited. Make your presence rare, your focus sacred, and your emotions earned. And this isn't selfish. This is survival, because in a world where everyone wants a piece of you, the only way you stay whole is by choosing to protect the silence you've fought so hard to build. And that means creating boundaries so strong that even you don't cross them out of habit or guilt. That means asking yourself every morning, who am I letting in today? And why? What are they adding? What are they costing? And being ruthlessly honest about the answers, because the people who deserve a seat at your table are the ones who won't complain about how you set the table. They'll appreciate being there. They'll match your calm. They won't demand your energy. They'll respect it. And if they don't, you don't need to argue or explain or teach. You just need to exit, because peace isn't what you find, it's what you protect. And the moment you stop negotiating with people who bring noise to your life is the moment you finally hear the wisdom that's been inside you all along. That's why I created the Stoic Relationship Blueprint, a powerful guide built on timeless principles that have transformed thousands of lives. If the message you just heard spoke to you, this book will feel like the missing piece you've been waiting for. And now it's available in audiobook form, which means you can take this life-changing blueprint with you on your walks, jogs, drives, or whenever you need to reconnect with your inner clarity. Imagine having a voice that reminds you of your value, your power, and your standards. In your ears, anytime, anywhere. Once it's yours forever. You'll always have access to the insights that wake you up, ground you, and put you back in control. The link is in the comments. Invest in yourself today, and let this be the last time you let chaos steal your peace. Number 2, never tolerate disrespect. Disrespect doesn't just show up as yelling or insults. It often creeps in through sarcasm, silent treatment, eye rolls, cold shoulders, jokes that cut deep but get dismissed as just playing. And the worst part is not even that they do it. It's that you let it slide. You told yourself it wasn't worth the fight. You didn't want to look sensitive, so you stayed silent. But what you don't realize is that silence was interpreted as permission. Every time you allowed it without consequence, you taught them that you'll tolerate being stepped on if it's disguised well enough. And now it's not just a bad moment. It's a pattern, a power dynamic, a message being sent that you don't require basic respect to stay. And people only stop pushing limits when they meet resistance. But you gave them an open door. And deep down you know this. You feel the loss of dignity every time you walk away pretending it didn't hurt. And now you're stuck between craving their approval and resenting your reflection. But that cycle ends when you decide to value your own peace more than their comfort. When you realize that being alone with self-respect is better than being accepted through self-erasure. When you choose directness over walking on eggshells. And the way you begin that transformation is by speaking up the moment your gut twists, the second your spirit dips, not with rage, but with truth. You say, "I don't like that. That's not okay with me," not because you want to control them, but because you refuse to keep betraying yourself. And when they minimize your words, try to turn the blame back on you, or suggest you're overreacting. You don't defend, you decide, because people who respect you won't play games with your boundaries. They won't gamble with your peace, and anyone who thinks you're difficult for standing your ground is someone who only liked you submissive, quiet, and easy to manipulate. So you don't lower your standards, you raise your exits, and the truth is, the reason you've been walked over isn't because people are cruel. It's because you never showed them the cost of doing so. You never followed through with consequences. You stayed after apologies that weren't followed by change. And every time you came back, you taught them that love means tolerance, even of the unacceptable. But respect cannot exist without limits, and you cannot claim peace while negotiating with your pain. So stop hoping they'll change if you keep being patient. Stop thinking your silence will teach them anything except that they can get away with it again. You reclaim your power the moment you say no and mean it, the second you walk away, not to punish but to protect. And that power isn't something you ask for, it's something you live by. And it looks like cutting people off mid-sentence when they cross the line. It looks like refusing to engage in emotional chaos, no matter how loud they get. It looks like ending a relationship you once begged for because it costs your self-worth. And you'll know you've evolved when peace feels better than being chosen, when walking away feels lighter than winning them back, when you'd rather protect your inner world than keep a fake connection alive. And yes, it hurts at first, but pain from growth is temporary. Pain from disrespect is recycled every day you allow it. And the only way out is through the awkward silence, the goodbye text, the empty calendar, the emotional detox, the quiet rebuilding of a life that no longer bends at every demand. And it starts now, not when you're ready, because you've been ready. You were just waiting for permission, so consider this it. If they mock you, diminish you, manipulate you, or drain you, the relationship is broken even if you're still in it. And fixing it won't come from trying harder. It'll come from drawing a line they cannot cross without losing access to you entirely. And the moment you stop negotiating with disrespect is the moment you make room for what actually respects and honors you. Number 3, say no without guilt. Saying no is one of the most powerful decisions you will ever make, not because it ends something, but because it protects everything. And yet so many people struggle to say it, not because they lack clarity, but because they fear rejection. They fear losing love. They fear being seen as selfish or difficult or uncaring, and so they agree to plans they hate. They tolerate behavior that drains them. They accept situations that make them miserable, all because the thought of disappointing someone feels heavier than the cost of betraying themselves. And what they don't realize is that every yes said in guilt becomes a crack in their foundation. Every time they stay silent when their heart wants to object, they weaken their boundaries, and over time, they become someone they no longer recognize, constantly overextending, always tired, emotionally depleted, and deeply resentful, not just at others, but at themselves for never standing firm. And the truth is, you cannot be at peace while living a life that is built to please everyone but yourself. You cannot keep saying yes just because you don't want to look mean or lose a connection that already depends on your silence to survive. So the shift begins the moment you start believing that your needs are not a burden and your time is not disposable. When you stop explaining every no with a long apology and start standing in it like it's your natural right, because it is. And people who guilt you for saying no are people who benefit from your lack of boundaries. They don't miss you. They miss your compliance, your availability, your energy on demand. And once you see that clearly, saying no becomes a form of self-respect, a line in the sand that teaches others how to value your presence. And this isn't just about others, it's about how you treat yourself. Because when you say yes to things you don't align with, you create inner conflict. You train your mind to believe that your desires are negotiable and your priorities can be pushed around. But peace begins when you stop abandoning yourself just to be liked, and the more you do it, the stronger you become. The easier it is to say no to draining conversations, fake connections, unnecessary obligations, and everything that robs you of your growth, your clarity, and your purpose. And the way you do it is simple. You start with the next decision that feels off. You stop giving fake excuses. You stop saying, maybe when you mean no. You stop leaving the door open for things that should have no access to your time. And you stand there, uncomfortable at first. Yes, but fully alive, knowing that you are no longer available for anything that costs you your peace, your direction, or your energy. And over time, you become someone who doesn't just say no. You embody it. You carry your boundaries in your tone, in your posture, in your presence. And people start to treat you differently, not because they changed, but because you did. Because you stopped trying to be liked and started choosing to be respected. Because you stopped selling pieces of your day for the price of temporary approval. And you started honoring your goals above someone else's convenience. And the truth is, saying no without guilt isn't harsh. It's honest, and honesty is what builds a life rooted in purpose. Number 4, don't accept mixed signals. Mixed signals are not confusing when you are clear on what you want. They only create chaos when you're too afraid to walk away from inconsistency. And the truth is, deep down, you already know they're not serious. You already feel the emotional gap between their words and actions. They say they care, but their behavior says you're just an option. They tell you they're not ready for commitment, but expect you to stay loyal. They disappear when you need them, but show up just enough to keep your hope alive, and the cycle continues because you keep justifying it. You tell yourself they're healing, they're scared, they're confused, but what you're really doing is settling, and every time you accept that confusion, you betray your own clarity. You allow your standards to bend. You start questioning your worth based on how available they are, and that's the trap. Because attention is not affection and presence. Without consistency is just manipulation, and they know it. They know exactly how long to wait before reaching out again. They know the breadcrumbs they've left are enough to make you question leaving, and so you stay, half chosen, fully drained, lying to yourself that it's love when it's really emotional control. And the only way to break free is to stop romanticizing potential, to stop giving the benefit of the doubt to someone who's already shown you their patterns, because people reveal their priorities not through promises but through patterns. And when someone gives you mixed signals, they're not being complex, they're being selfish. They want the benefits of your loyalty without offering the structure of a relationship. They want access to your energy without accountability for how they treat it. And the longer you stay, the harder it gets to leave. Not because they've earned your love, but because you've built your hope on a fantasy. And the way out is brutal honesty with yourself, admitting that you're scared to be alone, that you've tied your identity to how someone inconsistent treats you. But that fear isn't a reason to stay, it's a reason to rebuild, and you start by going no contact, not to get a reaction but to reset your soul. You remove access, you stop explaining yourself, you refuse to engage with anyone who doesn't make you feel chosen, stable and secure. And you understand that being alone and respected is better than being attached and anxious. And yes, you'll miss the high, you'll miss the dopamine, the anticipation, the illusion, but you won't miss the confusion, the hurt, the nights you spent wondering why they stopped trying. And that trade is worth it, because clarity is peace, and peace is everything. And if you want to be truly chosen, you must first walk away from being partially tolerated. You must stop settling for mixed signals and start demanding mutual effort, mutual clarity, mutual respect. And that begins when you accept that anyone who truly values you won't make you guess, won't keep you waiting, won't build a bond on maybes. And if they do, you walk. Not because you don't care, but because you finally care enough about yourself to no longer accept confusion disguised as love. And what you need to realize is that the longer you entertain someone who can't choose you, the more you train your nervous system to normalize unpredictability. You start confusing inconsistency with excitement. You get hooked on their returns because you've emotionally starved through their absences. And that trauma bond keeps you coming back, not because you're in love, but because you're addicted to the chase, and you justify it by calling it passion or saying the connection is rare, but rare doesn't mean healthy. And passion without respect is just chaos dressed in chemistry. And it's not your job to fix someone who benefits from confusing you. It's not your role to wait for them to mature while you bleed for their growth. And you are not the rehab center for people who lack emotional stability. You are not the rescue team for people who don't want to be rescued. And the fact that they show just enough to keep you hopeful is the evidence that they know exactly what they're doing. And if they truly cared, you wouldn't be second-guessing everything. You wouldn't be checking who they follow, rereading messages, interpreting silence, wondering if you did something wrong every time they pull back, because that's not what love looks like. That's what control feels like. And the only way to reset your expectations is to cut ties, not partially, not slowly, but entirely, to rebuild your worth from the ground up, to stop waiting for someone to recognize your value and start showing yourself that your value is not dependent on anyone's ability to appreciate it. And the day you decide to walk away completely, without sending one more message, without checking their stories, without waiting for closure, is the day you prove to yourself that you don't need a person who can't love you properly to feel complete. And that level of strength won't come easy, because letting go of emotional chaos means facing emotional sobriety. It means being alone with your own truth, sitting in the silence without someone to distract you from your fears. And that silence is what breaks most people, because they've tied their identity to the high and low of being wanted one minute and discarded the next. But your peace cannot exist where confusion lives, and you can't build a future while staying connected to someone who keeps you trapped in loops of almost, maybe, and not yet. And if you have to ask where you stand, you're already on the ground. And that's where you start to rebuild, by deleting the number, unfollowing the access, reclaiming your mornings, and rediscovering the person you were before you made them your emotional center. Because the truth is, you gave too much too soon. You offered loyalty before commitment. You gave depth to someone who didn't even show up with clarity, and now it's time to reclaim it all. Your time, your standards, your sense of self. And that starts with one hard decision you follow through on, because real healing is not always pretty. It's often raw and ruthless and necessary, and the more you let them come and go, the more you stay in limbo. And limbo is not love. Limbo is where potential goes to die, and you deserve real connection. But you'll only find it when you're brave enough to reject everything that looks like it, but lacks the substance to sustain it. Number 5. Don't chase validation. Chasing validation is the fastest way to lose yourself, because every time you try to prove your worth to someone who refuses to see it, you disconnect from the part of you that already knew you were enough. And the painful truth is that most people chase not because they love, but because they're addicted to approval. They want to feel accepted so badly that they perform for it, beg for it, compromise for it. But all it does is teach the other person that your value is up for negotiation, that your love is for sale, that your presence comes with no self-respect attached. And once you give someone that kind of power, you stop existing as yourself and start living as who you think they want you to be. And now you're in a role, not a relationship. You're showing up with a filtered personality, a fake peace, walking on eggshells just to avoid rejection. And that's not connection, that's survival. That's the desperate need to not feel abandoned again. And the worst part is that even when you win their validation, it never feels like enough, because deep down you know it wasn't earned from truth. It was extracted through performance. And so you keep chasing the next compliment, the next sign of affection, the next proof that you're worth loving. And every time they pull away, you run faster, and they know it. They feel the power in your need, and they start rationing their affection, giving just enough to keep you close, never enough to make you secure. And that cycle destroys your self-respect, because instead of walking away from emotional starvation, you keep feeding on crumbs, calling it loyalty, calling it love. But it's just fear wearing a mask, fear of being alone, fear of being unloved, fear of facing the silence without someone's hand to hold. But you have to break that pattern, because the person who chases validation becomes invisible to themselves. And the way back is to detach, not from people, but from needing their reactions to define your worth. You stop performing, you stop over-explaining, you stop trying to be agreeable all the time, and you start building a life so full, so clear, so grounded in values that people can no longer dangle attention over you like a prize, because your worth is no longer dependent on being chosen. It's rooted in being complete. And the moment you start showing up as yourself, fully, without apology, without trying to convince anyone to stay, the right people come closer, and the wrong ones get uncomfortable. And that's exactly how it's supposed to be, because love should not require chasing, and attention that must be earned through performance is not love, it's manipulation. And the truth is, you never needed to chase to begin with. You just needed to heal the part of you that believed love must be earned through suffering. And once you do, you walk differently. You speak differently. You carry your energy like a person who no longer begs to be understood, and validation stops being a goal. It becomes a side effect of living in alignment with your own standards. And the more you chase validation, the further you drift from your truth, because every time you adjust yourself to be liked, you silence the voice that was born to lead you. And slowly, almost without noticing, you become a version of yourself that exists only for approval. Someone who's always agreeable, always available, always bending but never becoming. And that version of you might be accepted by others, but will never be accepted by the real you, because deep down you feel the disconnection, the emotional exhaustion, the quiet resentment of living a life that looks good to others but feels empty to you. and you try to fill that void with praise, with likes, with attention, with fake friendships, with shallow love, but nothing works, because what you're starving for is the freedom to be fully honest with yourself, to say no without fear, to say yes without seeking reward, to exist without needing permission. And you don't find that freedom in validation. You find it in solitude, in boundaries, in refusing to prove anything to anyone ever again. And the moment you stop seeking applause is the moment you start hearing your own clarity. And clarity is what guides real power, because when you stop chasing, you start attracting, not through manipulation but through energy, because people can feel when you respect yourself. They can sense when you're not available for begging or bargaining, and that presence shifts everything. It brings respect, it filters out users, it creates space for real connection. But none of that happens until you drop the mask, until you stop trying to be enough for people who never valued realness, and start being everything you are for yourself first. And that doesn't mean becoming arrogant or closed off. It means becoming unshakable, unmoved by praise and unbroken by rejection, because your identity is no longer hanging on someone's ability to recognize your worth. And the people who love from a place of need will disappear, but the people who love from a place of presence will remain. And that's the reward of letting go of the chase. You no longer have to earn what's real, you only have to allow it. And that's the life you deserve. But you won't live it until you stop running after people who treat your attention like a backup plan. If you're tired of being disrespected, drained, and emotionally played, this is your moment. Society has trained you to stay quiet, to give endlessly, to tolerate disrespect in the name of love. But the truth is that silence is destroying you. The Stoic relationship blueprint is not just a book, it's your weapon. It's filled with timeless principles that this world hopes you never discover, because the second you do, you become unshakable. And now it's available in audiobook, so you can absorb this life-changing wisdom while walking, working out, or anytime you need to reconnect with the part of you that's had enough. You won't find this in mainstream advice, because this isn't meant to keep you soft. It's meant to wake you up. The link is in the comments. If you're ready to reclaim your mind, your peace, and your power, comment untouchable. Then like, subscribe, and help another man out there avoid years of regret.